What would a Rafah offensive mean for the people of Gaza? An unsettling question that has been looming over the world's conscience in the wake of recent developments. On February 26, 2024, an ominous cloud began to gather over the Gaza Strip as Israel hinted at an evacuation plan for civilians. The Israeli military had presented this plan to the War Cabinet amidst talks of a potential truce agreement with Hamas. Prime Minister Netanyahu asserted that a ground invasion of Rafah was inevitable for achieving total victory over Hamas. The southern Gaza region echoed with the rumblings of Israeli military actions, and concerns over potential displacement of Palestinians into Egypt began to rise. Just a few weeks later, on March 17, the Israeli Prime Minister reiterated his threat of a ground offensive in southern Gaza, specifically targeting Rafah. Despite concerns about civilian casualties, he emphasized the need to enable civilians to leave the area before the assault. The world leaders, including U.S. President Joe Biden and World Health Organization Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, voiced their concerns and called for credible civilian protection plans. The conflict continued to escalate, causing significant casualties and displacement in Gaza. Tragedy struck when 12 members of a family lost their lives in a strike. Netanyahu remained steadfast in his stance, rejecting calls for new elections, stating that it would paralyze the country and halt the war effort. By the end of March, the tensions between Israel and the U.S. were palpable. Netanyahu canceled a planned visit to Washington after the U.S. did not veto a UN Security Council resolution on Gaza ceasefire. A rescheduling request for a meeting to discuss Israel's military operation in Gaza's Rafah was made by Israel. The cancellation of the visit was seen as an overreaction by U.S. officials. Despite the United Nations cautioning against such an operation, Netanyahu had approved plans for a ground invasion of Rafah. So where does this leave us now? With a potential ground invasion of Rafah looming, the people of Gaza face an uncertain future. The escalating conflict has resulted in significant casualties and displacement, and the world watches on, calling for humanitarian aid and protection for civilians. The implications of a Rafah offensive are far-reaching and could potentially reshape the geopolitical landscape. The world waits with bated breath to see how this situation unfolds.